Hello folks, this is Sula speaking. You're listening to another video for Teamfight Tactics. In this video, we are not looking at a double up game, we're actually looking at a solo game that I just happened to play. And in this one, we're going to be looking at a Shapeshifters game, one that plays through Smolder and Tiny But Deadly, which is one of the augments that we'll be seeing later on in this game. Now, I was playing this game just because I had a little bit of extra time. Most of the games that I do are double up. I don't really have enough time to sit and grind the solo ranked ladder. That doesn't really seem like it would be that much fun, but occasionally I do get time to jump into a solo game and just, play a game of Teamfight Tactics because the gameplay is still fun. I don't think this is the greatest set, but it's still fun. Here on the initial portal, I was actually surprised that so many people were over at Golden Gala with me, but instead the pick ends up being loaded carousels. So that is the set mechanic from set 8.5, which is a set I did not play. One of the few that I really didn't play at all. But it means that the carousels are going to have two components on them instead of one. It's one of the lower impact portals, and I'm basically fine with this. The main thing it does is it means it's easier to get kind of best in slot items because there's going to be more items total on the carousel. So people will be able to cap out their board a little bit higher than normal. All right, the initial minion round here drops a Tristana and a Kali and a Shyvana, and I was thinking here for a minute about what to play, and then I was like, oh, you know what my shop has? My shop has two Elises, it has two Jaces, and it has a Namzi. As soon as I see this, I was like, I should look to play a Shapeshifters game because I really have the pieces to play this, and I definitely need to pick up the Jace and the Namzi, so we'll sell the Akali as well. That's not a unit I'm going to be looking to play. This is a fairly popular team composition in the current patch. And it's one that I did a video on previously. Now, this shop is nowhere near as good, but that first shop was pretty amazing. I did do a video on this a little while back where I focused on a game where I was able to play 8 Shapeshifters. Now, you're not going to be able to play 8 Shapeshifters very often. The only reason I was able to play that is because I got a Shapeshifter emblem, and then I also had +1 to team size from the prismatic option that gives you +1 team size. So I was actually able to play 8 Shapeshifters plus 3 dragons. This is going to be more of a normal game where you don't have quite so many conditions come together in the way that this one did. By the way, this is also a 2-item start. It is not the normal 3-item start. So I have a little bit more gold, but I don't have the third item component that you normally have. Now, I did think about Caretaker's Ally, which is a fun one to play through. Gain a random 2-cost champion, and you gain another one each time you level up. So you basically are guaranteed to be able to 3-star some kind of 2-cost champ. But as I said, I was just really, really well set up to play this because I had a whole bunch of early Shapeshifters, and I had Namzi, and I had Shyvana. And I actually have a pair of all 4 units here. So I have Elise pair, Namzi pair, Jace pair, Shyvana pair. So I really do have the pieces to play this board. Now, if I can just hit some of these other units that I all have paired, if I can just hit some of them, then I'll be in really, really good shape. But still, overall, this board is in good shape. And so because my board's in pretty good shape, I will go ahead and take stationary support for my initial augment. It is a silver augment, so that means it's not one of the more impactful augments. Everybody's going to have something that doesn't really do that much. This means that I will get a training dummy with a support item on it. I think it's after 8 rounds of combat, so I'll just hang out for right now and end up taking that later on, and we'll hopefully get something useful. But I think that this early on, I think that my board is still reasonably decent here. The only thing that's a little bit on the suboptimal side is the fact that I do only have 2 components, and I'm not convinced I want to use the tear and the sword for like a Spear of Shojin. I wouldn't hate making that, but I think I can make better items. So anyway, I do lose that round, but then, what's this? 2-star Shyvana, 2-star Elise. That is very, very nice, and that's going to power up my board considerably because I am playing through the Shapeshifter trait. As a reminder, the Shapeshifter trait is one of the tank traits here in TFT set 12. It grants health only to Shapeshifters, not to the whole team, but they do get a small amount of additional health, and then they triple the bonus of what they get when they use their ability. I believe Shapeshifter 2, which is what I have in right now, is they get 10% health, and then after they use their ability, they transform, and that triples up to 30% bonus health. So basically, it's a health stacking trait is the way that this works. Anytime you have a trait that's health-based, it tends to be strong in the early game. I've talked about this a lot in past sets when they had traits like Brawler and Bruiser, traits that would give health. It's always very strong in the early game. And then raw health tends to fall off as the game goes on. Tends to be not as good as the game goes on because damage goes up over the course of the game. And early on, it's just hard to cut through that much health. Now, I only have Shapeshifter 2, and that would be more pronounced if I had Shapeshifter 4, but I do not, and I am going to hit the 2-star Namzi here, which is nice, so I'll definitely look to pick that up. So, as I said, this will get outscaled in the long run if you can't augment it with, like, high enough damage and some additional armor and magic resistance to go with it. But again, shapeshifters tend to be pretty strong in the early game, especially if you hit 2-star Shyvana, 2-star Elise, 2-star Namdi. That's a pretty good opener. Now, I would prefer to play another unit over the Jace right now. I would, in particular, like to have another Hunter in there so I could get Hunter trait in for the Namzi, but I have not seen any Hunters yet, and so the Jace is the best I can do. Nothing else is going to be helpful here. I can't make Eldritch trait. I can't make Portal trait. I'm not going to be playing into those traits anyway. I mean, I guess I could get Eldritch trait in eventually because there is an internal synergy between Shapeshifter and Eldritch. Elise is Shapeshifter plus Eldritch, and then the 5-cost Shapeshifter Briar also is Shapeshifter plus Eldritch. But I don't really need that, and it's kind of an awkward internal synergy too because Shapeshifters give you all this additional health, so it tends to make the team tanky. And then what does getting the Eldritch summon in too? What makes your team tankier? By the way, this fight's pretty close, but the fact that I have 2-star Namzi is going to allow her to win that fight. And so that's nice. I'm going to be able to get that win. Having all those 2-star units definitely did make a big difference. Anyway, now it's time for the loaded carousel. Again, there's going to be 2 items on everyone here. I'm actually 3rd pick because I did lose that first round. And I'm really looking to try to get something that I can use to make an item. Again, I have a tier and I have a sword on my bench. So I'd like to get something that would synergize with one of them. Ultimately, I decided to grab these 2 defensive items. And the biggest reason for that is I wanted to look to go ahead and make a Bloodthirster on Shyvana. It's one of her better items. It gives her some lifesteal. It gives her the shield when she drops low on health. I think the Bloodthirster shield triggers at like 40% health, something like that. So it's a good item to have on her overall, and long term, it's always an item that I could look to put on Briar in the extreme late game too. So like it's going to be good for now, and with the item removers that you get in TFT, now I can also move that over to Briar later on. So it's just a useful item to have. Anyway, once again, I was really looking to find another shapeshifter. There are 2 3-cost shapeshifters. There's Swain and there's also Nico. I was hoping I could find one of them for 4 shapeshifters, or alternately, I was hoping that I could find a hunter of any kind, but I have not seen any hunters in the story yet either. I keep looking at these Warwicks and wanting them to be Twitches, but they're not. It's always Warwick, not Twitch, every time that unit pops up in my shop. So I will hold off on playing any of them. I do want to level, though, because I'm on a small win streak, and I think I can keep win streaking because I have so many 2-stars on my board. So we'll just play the other Jace for right now. And the other reason not to buy anything is I am able to get to 20 gold despite leveling to 5. So I'm pretty rich, and I've been doing a good job with these rounds. I just lost that first round. That first round was when I had all 1-star units on the board. And look at this. There's actually a rise in my shop at 2% odds. I was like, why couldn't this be a Nasus or a Varus? If it had been either of those, my board would have just absolutely exploded. But it's not. It's a Rise, which is not a unit I can really use. I mean, okay, yes, technically I have Portal trait. Honestly, what I should probably do is just buy the Rise and play it for this one round over one of the Jaces, because I'm not going to be able to hit the 30 gold income breakpoint this round, and then I could just sell the Rise the next round and like stuff the tier on him for one round. That would definitely be better than a 1-star Jace with no items, but I do not end up doing that. I do go ahead and put the vest on the Shyvana though, because I think I can make something with this. That's because this other team looks pretty strong, and I really would like to win this and carry a 4-match winning streak into the minion stage. So just wanted to give Shyvana that small bit of extra armor in the hopes that she'll be able to win this round. Again, this fight is close, but it looks like we have enough. I don't think Syndra can kill both of these units now. So I will end up winning that one. I would definitely sell the Elise on my bench to get to 30 if I could, but it's not going to be enough. And so I lose the first round, but then win the next 4, so I'm pretty happy with that. For the moment, I'm basically using Shyvana as my carry. I'm hitting both of her traits. She is Shapeshifter plus Dragon. You know, while we've got a minion around here, I'll just go ahead and read her ability. Again, she is not the featured unit in this video. We're going to be looking to play through Smolder later on, but I have to get to Smolder. He's a 5 cost. Okay, her ability is Dragon's Descent, transforms into Dragon's form, gains an aura, deals magic damage per second to adjacent enemies, then flies through the largest group of enemies within 2 hexes and stuns them. So she will transform, as it says, and then dive through the nearest group of enemies, dealing magic damage to them. And by the way, I get this rod, and I'm very happy to do this. I'm going to go ahead and make a Crown Guard, which is a pretty good item on her. Again, it makes her tankier, it gives her a shield, gives her a little bit more ability power. Not bad at all. And I also have very few ways to use rods in this team composition. About the only other thing I can use a rod for is a Rage Blade. I also do finally find a Nico in the store, so that's great. Now that gets me up to 4 Shapeshifter. And because I got this glove, I'm going to go ahead and make Infinity Edge for the Namzi. It's actually a pretty good item on Namzi. Namzi is basically an AD caster. And what I mean by that is she does most of her damage through her spell. She doesn't really do that much damage on auto attacks. She is a lot like Varus, who's one of the other units we will want to play in this team composition, in the sense that it's not that attack speed is bad on them, it's just that their abilities do most of their damage, not their auto attacks. We're going to see Smolder a little bit later, and he's the exact opposite. It's kind of like he plays through his auto attacking. So the Infinity Edge is perfectly good on the Smolder. I can move that to Varus later on with an item remover. I could look to put it on Smolder, potentially. Those are the units I'm playing towards, and that's better than just having a sword and a glove sit on my bench not doing anything. All right, now it's time for us to go ahead and have our second augment of the game. And it turns out it's going to be another silver augment. So I was looking at the different options here. I did think about lunch money because I was kind of win streaking here. And I could be able to do more damage to the enemy team. I'm looking at the other options here, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take the Blistering Strikes. Now, the big issue, and by the way, I finally find a Kog'Maw, so I can finally get Hunter trade in. I did not see a single Hunter in the store until 3-2, which is kind of wild. There is a bit of an issue with the Blistering Strikes. Now, Blistering Strikes puts a healing debuff and a burn on the enemy units. All of your units do them with their auto attacks. There is some overlap here with the trait that I'm running with Dragon trait, because I have Dragon 2 in, and that causes Dragon attacks and abilities to burn and wound enemies for 5 seconds. Still, out of the different options I had available, I was actually pretty happy with the Blistering Strikes, because this is a team composition that plays through a lot of basic attacks. And having Blistering Strikes to provide a healing debuff, yes, I'm aware that Dragon trait also is a healing debuff, but this will make it easy to debuff the healing of like the entire enemy team. And I don't think it's bad here. Besides, it is only a silver augment. It's not like it's the most impactful augment possible. I didn't really like any of the other options all that much, so I was pretty happy to have this one. Now, this player took the random emblem for their second option, and they pulled a Sugarcraft emblem. So I was like, okay, Sugarcraft, all right, not really in the meta right now. They don't really look like they have all that much at present, so I wasn't too concerned about this player right now. Their game didn't really seem to be going all that well as far as how things were situated. But I am on a 6-match win streak, so I am just going to look to continue pushing levels. And that's because I really want to get up to higher levels where I can play the 4 and 5 cost units. Now, I talked a little bit more, and by the way, I'm just going to sell that Elise because it's pretty clear I'm never going to hit Elise 3-star. Anyway, so I talked a little bit about this in the previous Shapeshifters game I did. But you can play this trait as a reroll trait. If you're doing that, you're going to reroll for Namzi and Shyvana, and probably Jace, because why not? Probably Jace. You might even roll for Kog'Maw, but like the main units you're... Oh, I guess you would roll for Elise. It would be like Elise, Shyvana, Namzi, and then maybe Jace. Maybe Kog'Maw. You can play this as a reroll trait, in which case you're looking to itemize Namzi, you're looking to itemize Shyvana, and they're kind of going to be your carries. But that build does tend to get outscaled in the late game because those units are not bad. Actually, Shyvana is still decent if you 3-star her in the late game, but Namzi is not so great in the late game. And the other big problem with that is in order for that build to work, you also still have to find Smolder at some point in time. And it's just tough to find him if you spend a lot of time rerolling on levels 5 and 6. So that's a build that's strong in the mid game, but it does tend to fall off in the late game. I'm going to be doing the opposite. I'm going to be pushing to higher levels and trying to pick up the 4 and 5 quest units on this board. Anyway, it's time for another one of those carousels. I have won enough rounds that I am now last pick. And this is one thing about the loaded carousels that's actually helping me here. And that's the sense that I've always felt that when you get this mechanic, it really helps players that are winning. Like, it doesn't help players that are like in last place. It helps players that are winning. Which I am at this current point in time. And that's because it's just easier to find components you need. Now, I was looking for either swords or bows on this carousel. I really would like to get some bows. They are not there, but there is still a sword. And like the odds that I would actually get a sword for last pick on a normal carousel are pretty low. So I feel like this definitely helps players that are actually winning, because it's much more likely that they can actually find items that they're looking for. So I think that that actually did end up helping me there. And then I'm going to go ahead and make the Spear of Shojin because I will want to put that on Varus later on, and I want to get some use from it. And it's actually a pretty good item on Namzi as well. I've also now gotten my silver augment from the start of the game to trigger. Now I have a training dummy with a Shroud of Stillness. And I was like, aha, Shroud of Stillness. One of my favorite items of all time. This was, of course, buildable for most of TFT sets. Took out the ability to build this, I think, in set 9, if I want to remember correctly. Of course, now it is a support item. It has its own classification system. But, of course, it mono reaves anyone that's in a vertical line above it on the enemy team. So I'm going to be looking to try to place the Shroud to good effect. I also thought it was worthwhile to go ahead and level to try to maintain win streak. I didn't really have a good unit to put in, just a Jace, but still, I want to maintain this win streak. I thought it was worthwhile to try to level just to play the Jace. Just getting that one extra unit on the board probably will be helpful here. Because I am still on this win streak, and it's very important I try to carry this win streak through to the minion stage. One piece of good news is it appears as though all of the teams I can potentially hit next round are bunched up on that right-hand side. So we're just going to try to put the Shroud over there and see if I can get a good Shroud on these teams. By the way, I have no idea how that one team is 87 health. Their board looks pretty weak, but apparently they've been beating people. So did we manage to get a good Shroud here? And the answer is, yeah, I managed to hit about 2/3 of the enemy team. So I'm content with that. I think maybe it would have been better to be one more slot over to the left. But then again, I did want to get that Syndra, who's the carry on that team. So I guess that was probably the right place to put the Shroud. This is an Eldritch team composition, but we're going to be able to cut through that front line, and it looks like we're golden. Shyvana is... Actually, Namzi did the most damage in that fight. Yeah, actually, Namzi with these items, and Dragon trait, and Hunter trait, does actually do quite a bit of damage. And then, oh, hi, there's our high roll moment of the game. Okay, and then we find Smolder at 1% odds. Oh my god, okay. That's the unit I was looking for. And remember how we said we're going to be playing through Smolder in this game? Now we can focus on the little baby dragon, who is the featured unit here, as I said. So Smolder is the 5-cost dragon. He has Dragon and Blaster traits. Dragon, a very unusual trait. It has a 1-cost, a 2-cost, and a 5-cost. So you can only get Dragon 3 in by finding Smolder. It tends to be a pretty hard unit to find. But he definitely is necessary to cap out this board, and he's going to make all the Dragon abilities stronger. We're also going to be looking to move from the Namzi over to the Smolder, because it's just a much better unit. Okay, so I want to get to level 8, and by the way, I'm going to go ahead and put this glove here. I don't know quite what that's going to be. I would like it to be maybe a Last Whisper, but I also want to get a Rage Blade for Smolder, so I kind of need like 2 bows in this team composition, but we'll figure something out. I'm a little hesitant to commit the, the belt and the vest, because I definitely don't need a Sunfire Cape. I have double burns already on my team, Dragon trait plus the Blistering Strikes, so I definitely don't need a Sunfire Cape. I was thinking maybe I could also try to do like a Titan's Resolve. By the way, look at that Shroud. Once again, I hit the entire enemy team. But the problem is I just need bows for this. Like, as I said, I would like to build a Last Whisper. I'd like to build a Rage Blade for Smolder. And I'd also really, really like to build a Titans if I could get that. So I'm not going to get that many bows. We're going to have to pick and choose. So we'll see. I don't even have the Rod, which is the other half of Rage Blade. So anyway, I'm going to win that round. I've actually won 10 rounds in a row. So this has been fantastic. It's given me so much econ that I think now I'm clear to just look to go level 8. And by the way, we now have a Prismatic Augment. I was pretty confident this would be Prismatic when the first 2 are silver, the third one's almost always Prismatic. The Golden Egg is tempting, but I didn't want to go for that. I saw this tiny but deadly. Your team is 50% smaller, but moves and attacks 30% faster. And I actually thought this was a really good fit for my team composition. So, all right, I'm going to go level 8. I'm going to roll it down. I'm going to try to pick up some things. I'm looking for Varus and I'm looking for Nasus. I was thinking if I could just get 1 copy of both, then I could maybe look to go to level 9 off that. So there's the Varus. We're going to play him over the Cogmaul. So we also get to play another unit on the board. I guess I should have just left that Cogmaul on the board for right now. But I was confident that I would find another Nasus here. And I'm like, where's Nasus Varus? Where are these units? Can I find any of these guys? There's another Nico. I saw an awful lot of 4 costs. I didn't see even 1 Nasus. I was like, oh my god, this is not what I'm looking for here. So that was not great. I do have the ability to reforge something. So I go ahead and reforge, what is it, the belt into a rod, and that's nice because now I actually do have half of a potential Rage Blade. So Oof, that was not a good roll down at all. And I think I put myself in absolutely perfect position to roll down there, but just really, really whiffed. I mean, I was able to hit the Varus, but that's it. I found one unit on a roll down of about 60 gold. Well, not 60, but about 50 gold there. Not good. So again, I'm still looking for these. I'm like, where are these? I've seen so many 4 costs, but I can't seem to find any Nasus's or Varus. And then finally Nasus pops up. So it was like, okay, well, let's play him on the board. I think I'll take the Jace out, and I'd also like to move some of these items around. So let's go ahead and do this. We'll take out the Jace. This will give us Pyro trait. We'll put the Spear of Shojin on the Varus, so he will cast more often. And then I could put the Infinity Edge on him, but I was like, you know, I already have Smolder. I actually think Smolder is the unit I want to play through here. Now if I could just get a bow for either Last Whisper or Rageblade, that would be feeling a lot better. So it turns out that the main reason why I'm having so much trouble finding these units is other people are playing this comp as well. Other people are trying to play variations on the same board. Like this person is also going for Varus and has grabbed a couple of them. Again, I'm a little disappointed because I think I had significantly more econ than these other players, but I just, by the luck of the draw, did not manage to hit. But TFT's like that sometimes. I just did not have great luck at hitting there. So I do need to get to level 9. So now that I have these pieces, I think I need to get to level 9 because if I want to make this board work, I really have to find I have to find more Smolders. I need Smolder 2-star, and I have to find Briars. And I also have to find more Varuses and Nasuses. So like that's the big problem with this comp is it's a lot of very expensive units. It's a board that caps out very, very highly. Like if you can put this board together, it's going to be one of the strongest possible boards. But it is an expensive board, and unfortunately I did my big roll down on level 8, and I really did not hit. I just did not feel comfortable going to level 9 without hitting some of the pieces. But oh boy, that decision kind of backfired because I did not hit, like, at all. Anyway, I was able to get a bow off that carousel. Again, the loaded carousel is really, really helping me here because they allowed me to get a bow that I almost certainly would never have gotten a bow normally from last pick on that carousel, but I did end up getting the bow. So that allows me to make the Rageblade on Smolder. And I'm actually still on a 12-match winning streak here. I'm not really expecting to keep winning because my big roll down went so poorly. My board's going to fall off. If you look, I have almost entirely 1-stars. I have 2-star Shyvana, 2-star Elise, and 2-star Namzi. I had all of them 2-starred on what, like 2-2 or 2-3? And every other unit is a 1-star on my board. So like that is not going to be beating people's boards for much longer, unfortunately. The big thing that's holding me in this is the fact that I found that Smolder at 1% odds. So I'm going to be playing through that unit. And indeed, I start losing rounds. And that's not a surprise, but I have to get to level 9 or else this board is not going to be able to function. I can't just sit here and continue rolling on level 8. That's a recipe for just disaster here. So again, I'm a little disappointed with how bad my roll down was. But at least I was able to get 1 Varus and 1 Nasus. I needed the Nasus so I can get to Shapeshifter trait, so I can get to 6 Shapeshifter if I can get to level 9. And I needed the Varus because he makes Blaster trait and Pyro trait. I want to get those Pyro stacks working. Remember, every time the Pyro units either kill or assist on a kill with another unit, you get a Cinder. And it's, what is it, every 4 of them gives you 2% attack speed for the team or something like that. So I do want to get those Cinders stacking up as well. The other thing that's helping me is I did get a really, really good augment. I have Tiny but Deadly for my Prismatic here. Again, this is just a great fit for this team because it means that Smolder is going to be moving around like super duper fast and attacking crazy, crazy fast with his Rageblade plus Infinity Edge combo. Look how much damage he's doing as he flies around. But unfortunately, he flies into a Gwen Scissor Snap. He actually might have been able to kite Gwen around for quite some time. But ultimately, it doesn't work out, and I am going to lose this round. Again, I just have too many 1-stars is the big problem, and apparently we only got 1 Cinder that round, so that's not great. All right, while we have a minion round, let me go ahead and cover the ability of Smolder. So his ability is called Learning to Fly, has a passive and an active function. Passive is fly around and attack the nearest enemy. He's a lot like Singed back in set 2 or Aurelion Sol, the spaceship, back in set 3, in the sense that he literally just flies around the map. I guess he's probably a little closer to the Aurelion Sol spaceship. So yeah, he flies around, tossing out little auto attacks at the closest enemy. Then his active is gain 50% attack speed for the next 4 attacks. These attacks launch fireballs that deal extra physical damage. Because we have Dragon 3 in, he actually gets the fireballs on the next 6 attacks. Anyway, here I'm looking at the item anvil. I'm trying to see what I can pull. And then I see that there's a bow here again. I was like, ah, cool. let's go ahead and do that bow. So we'll do the Infinity Edge plus Last Whisper plus Rage Blade combo, which I think is pretty good here. And then I have some leftover tank items that I'm not wild about. So I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to put these on one of my tank champs. And the only one that really makes sense is Nico, because she's like the only one of these champs that's actually 2-starred. Like Swain or Nasus would be better picks, but none of them are 2-starred. So we'll just put these on Nico because I don't really have any other use for them. And yeah, now we're still just trying to get to level 9. Again, I'd be like it if I could 2-star some more units. I'm still working through 1-star, what is it? 1-star Swain, 1-star Nasus, 1-star Varus, 1-star Smolder. But apparently this board is still good enough to beat some people because I do think my itemization is quite good here. Quite good. I've seen someone post that Smolder's best items are Rage Blade plus Last Whisper plus Giant Slayer, but I think this is pretty good overall. I also could pick up more Shyvanas, but I don't necessarily want to do that. I don't really think I can get to Shyvana 3-star this game. Maybe if I'd been picking up Shyvanas the whole game, but again, I have to get to level 9, and it's really important that I get there from an econ perspective. By the way, this Mages team looks terrifying. They have a Vanguard emblem on Vex, plus Vex 3-star, plus Vagar 3-star. I was like, how did they hit all of these? And then that other person has Wukong 3-star. So some of these other boards look really strong. And there's also, again, these players who are contesting me in the lobby. So I was like, you know, I'd really like it if I could knock some of these players out. So here's one of them. This person is, again, looking to play basically the same board. They also have Tiny but Deadly. And they have a 2-star Varus who's fully itemized. But, like, here's the problem. Varus is not the carry on this board. Like, I want to make this clear. Varus is a useful supporting unit. He gives you Pyro trait. He gives you Blaster trait. But he is not the featured unit on this board. And if you're playing him as the featured unit, you're kind of doing it wrong. It's Smolder and Briar who are the main carries. It's Shyvana early, Shyvana and Namzi, and then that transitions into Smolder and Briar later on as the game goes on. Varus is a useful unit. As I said, he provides the execute on Pyro trait, so you want him to fire that big blast because he'll finish off anybody that's low on HP. He's also a good person to put Last Whisper on because he'll apply Last Whisper pretty well. But he's not the featured unit, like I said, because if you're playing heavy shapeshifters, if you're playing 6 shapeshifters, 3 dragon, he doesn't have either of those traits. He's Pyro Blaster. So you're kind of wasting the setup of the game if you're using Varus as your main carry. So I was happy to win that round. I actually got that player out of the lobby. And then here's another player that's playing the same thing. So I'm actually contested with 2 other players in this lobby. And then I was like, that's why I had so much trouble finding Nasus and finding Varus when I was rolling on level 8, because these other people took them all. Well, one of them is out of the lobby, so that's a good sign. And if I can get through this Swain, I might be able to get this other guy out of the lobby too. But Smolder gets taken out. Looks like I don't have quite enough to win this one, although it's reasonably close, which is pretty impressive given how little I have in terms of 2 stars. So I'm continuing to drop rounds here. This is not a shock because, again, I'm trying to get to level 9. There's all kinds of stuff I want here. I'd really like the Smolder. That would give me a Smolder pair. The Bloodthirster wouldn't be bad either. There's also a Briar. That gets taken. It's like, so all the stuff I want is getting snapped up here. So then, by the way, that person takes the Sugarcrest emblem. I believe they now have 3 Sugarcraft emblems. So all the stuff I wanted kind of gotten taken. I probably should have just taken the Nasus for another Nasus, even though Gunblade is not really going to be terribly useful for me. But I just end up taking the Redemption instead. I was like, all right, let's go to level 9. Now we need to find Briar. If we don't find Briar, this game's going to kind of be over here. I have to find Briar, and then I do find her. I was like, okay. So Jace comes out. We're not going to get to 8 shapeshifters in this game, and I need to start feeding Briar. So remember, Briar is a unit where you can trade health on you, the player, in exchange for more health on her, the unit. So I'm going to start feeding her and see how much health I can stack up on her as the game goes on. Specifically, this trait is called Ravenous, and what is it? You can give her a light snack. You can give her 3 of your health, and then she gains 180 HP. But remember, that gets magnified by 6 shapeshifters. So I believe that after you run it through the modifiers, I think that like almost doubles after you run it through the shapeshifter modifier. So she actually gets quite a bit of health over the course of the fight. Anyway, this is a close fight, but Smolder is going to be able to snipe the Gwen. Do we have enough left? And yes, just barely. Just barely. Oh, and by the way, that person, you see me checking that person's name, Horizon D. That was the other person playing the Shapeshifter plus Dragon board. So they are out of the lobby, and those units are going to go back in the pool. So that's very good news for me. Anyway, now the big thing is I need to get some items for Briar. I'll go ahead and put this Redemption on Nico. I really don't have much use for this redemption. But I'll go ahead and put this on the Nico because why not? Unfortunately, now I'm slotted to go up against this mage board, and I was like, I don't think I beat this mage board. I don't think I beat Vex 3, Vagar 3. Not with my units. Again, still mostly 1-star. Again, I still have, what is it? I've 1-star, what is it? 1-star Swain, 1-star Nasus, 1-star Briar, 1-star Varus, 1-star Smolder. Like, I just need to 2-star these units. The good news is I shouldn't die. I'm not that close to dying. But I am feeding health to Briar. Like, I've already fed her 6 health, and I'm going to have to keep feeding her because I need to play her through her. She needs to be one of my carries. So again, another problem with this board is, by the way, that fight was closer than I expected considering how many 1-stars I have. But as I said, this is another problem with this board is you need to play through Briar in the late game, and you have to sacrifice health for her. So like, you have to be both rich and healthy to play this board. But if you can put it all together, it does cap out pretty highly. So now I fed Briar 3 times, I think. So that's given her, what, all about 550 health? So, you know, once she casts her ability, that'll basically double up to, that's basically going to double up to, like, another extra 1,000 health. So, like, that makes a pretty big difference. Definitely makes a big difference. So I'm going to keep feeding her here. I mean, it's a normal game, and I might as well. I'm going to either win these rounds with feeding her, or I'm going to just die. So I might as well. Anyway, I am level 9. Let's continue rolling. There's another Smolder. That's big. I could go for leadership, but I need the gold to roll. The gold to roll is more important than the charms here. There we go. And that's the really, really big hit. I hit the 2-star Smolder. So I'm just tickled. Could not be happier with hitting that. I will go ahead and buy this charm. And then out of these options here, I was like, these are all AP items. What the heck? I mean, I guess I could do Adaptive Helm, but I'll take the Thief's Glove. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the items that were on Shyvana most of the game over to Briar, because Briar is increasingly going to be the featured unit. And then I'm going to feed her as well. So that's the 4th time I've fed Briar now. So I've already given up 12 player health in exchange for Briar getting more HP. Now again, this is the Sugarcraft board. Look, they have triple Sugarcraft emblems. It's actually a good thing that there's only Sugarcraft 6 and there's no Sugarcraft 8 in this game. If there were a Sugarcraft 8, I'd actually be in a lot of trouble, but there is not a Sugarcraft 8, and this fight's close. I actually thought I was going to win that fight, but I think that one of Bard's ricocheting projectiles bounced over and hit me, and now I'm on 15 HP, so now I probably die on the next loss. There is a Briar here, so I'll take that. And I don't have enough to buy a charm, unfortunately. I mean, I could buy this charm, but my damage is all physical. Changing that to magic damage would be really bad. So at this point, I'm like, well, I might as well feed the Briar, because why not? I mean, I might as well. I'm going to die. The next time I lose a round, I'm going to be out of the lobby anyway. It does matter in terms of placement, but again, this is a normal game, so it's not like I care about a ranked placement or anything like that. I'm just doing my best to try to win the lobby, so I might as well sacrifice the health. As I said, I'm out the next time I lose anyway, so... You know, YOLO, we're just going to YOLO this, basically. I'm also trying to make sure I get good Shroud placement. I'm a little bit lucky that we've had several rounds here where there's been exactly 4 people in the lobby. When there's 4 people in the lobby, you always know which player you're going to be up against every single round, because you get it's like it basically turns into a round robin, and you always know who you're going to be up against each time. So I've been able to get some good Shroud placements, and the fact that Shroud of Stillness isn't in the game anymore means that people don't really look to dodge Shrouds. Anyway, and then I hit the 2-star Briar, and I'm like, let's go. This is what I need. This is what I needed. So now I've actually hit most of my key things. By the way, I'm also going to use this charm just to buy a Camille for free and then sell it, and then I'm going to use my duplicator to buy a Vex and then sell the Vex. So I actually made 8 gold that round. Now the downside is I do not have a charm to use in this fight, but I'm up against the Sugarcraft player, and I think the best place to put the Shroud is right in the middle of the board. Still, I managed to hit the 2-star Briar, and that's just absolutely huge here. This person, by the way, is on 1,700 Sugarcraft stacks. I really want to get them out of the lobby because they're getting close to hitting the point where they will just auto win. I believe it's at 2,200 stacks. The Sugarcrest cake just starts firing projectiles and just like starts insta-killing your team. So look at Briar tanking with her crown guard and her bloodthirster. This round's really close, but Smolder clutches it out. Ooh, the Smolder with like 300 HP is going to win that one. And I was like, woo, okay. If I hadn't been feeding Briar the whole game, then I 100% would not have won that. So I'm looking for one more Briar item. There isn't really a good one here, so I'm just going to take the Steadfast Heart. That will at least make her tankier. I thought that was more useful than anything else. I mean, it could have gotten like a Thief's Glove, but I really wanted another Briar item, not just like something for Nasus. Nasus isn't doing anything. So we kind of have a tank Briar here. I'd prefer to have stuff that's more damage focused on her. But, you know, you got to go with what items you have. And out of those items, I do think that Steadfast Heart was definitely the best of the options available. Remember, Shapeshifters get a lot of health, and I've been stacking extra health on Briar. I believe this is the 8th round I fed her. So she has stacked up an awful lot of health. So what do I want then now that she's getting health from the Shapeshifter trait? I want armor and magic resistance, damage reduction. She gets that from Steadfast Heart. It's going to give her some damage reduction and some additional armor. So again, if I'm going to put a tank item on her, this is one of the best possible options. I would just prefer to have like a Titans or a Sterix or something like that. But out of the options I have, I do think this was the best available. Oh no, by the way, we are tearing through the Mages board. Yeah, that Mages board looked really strong. It's a shame we didn't have one more unit alive. One more unit alive, we would have knocked them out there. By the way, I also got a great charm. And by the way, I'm going to feed Briar again. I think that's the 9th time I fed her. I got a great charm there, which was Mono-Reave the enemy team. Just fantastic when you're up against a Mages board, which is all about spellcasting. And for this round, I'm going to take the Earthquake charm. Another great charm, stuns the entire enemy team for 2 seconds. So hopefully that's going to give me the drop on this team. And they also have not really been repositioning to avoid the Shroud. I am targeting the Shroud in the center of the board because if you look at their mages in the corners, Vigor has a blue buff. He's going to cast immediately no matter what. Nami has a Shojin. She's going to cast very quickly. But these units in the middle of the board have no mana generation. So getting the Shroud of Stillness Mono-Reave on the center of the board is really, really effective on like the Nora and whatnot. And yeah, I'm just tearing through this board. It turns out the Sugarcraft player was actually the other strongest player in the lobby. I just outscaled that Mages board, and it really wasn't close down the stretch. So yeah, GG, a game that got close at the end. Now, if I hadn't fed Briar 27 health, then it wouldn't have been so close. But I also probably wouldn't have won those rounds without having Briar 2-star with all that additional health. So I just barely managed to squeeze this one out. I was really happy with how I played. Even though I thought I had the terrible roll down on level 8, I was still able to work around that. And yes, I did hit a Smolder at 1% odds. So that was, yeah, I did hit the Smolder at 1%. That was pretty lucky. But other than that, I think it was just a very solidly played game. So I was pretty happy with this one. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this one. Until next time, take care, folks. See you soon. Have a good week.